Let's dive into a really fascinating and kind of unsettling idea. What if all the chaos we're seeing in the world, the fires, the pandemics, the conflicts, what if it's not random at all? What if it's actually a language, a series of warnings from the universe itself?
I mean, just think about the last few years. It feels like we've been bouncing from one massive crisis to the next, right? We've had these record breaking fires, a pandemic that literally shut down the entire world, and wars breaking out all over. It is so easy to just write it all off as a terrible run of bad luck. But what if they aren't separate events? What if these are all connected? What if they're actually signals, deliberate messages trying to shake us awake before we run out of time?
Okay, so to really wrap your head around this, you have to see how these signals have been changing. They didn't just show up out of nowhere screaming at us. No, they started small, like a whisper, and they've just been getting louder and louder.
For a long, long time, the signs were really subtle. You could call them gentle taps on the shoulder, things that were, frankly, pretty easy for us to ignore. But we got really good at ignoring them, so the universe had to escalate. And in 2020, it gave us something nobody could miss: a complete global standstill.
People have started calling this the Great Pause. And as all of human activity just stopped, something absolutely remarkable happened. It was like the Earth itself took a huge, deep breath. Suddenly, we saw pictures of clear blue skies over cities that were famous for their smog. We saw dolphins swimming in quiet waterways and rivers suddenly running clean. It was this powerful, undeniable proof of the impact we have. So you can see this clear escalation on the timeline. We started with the gentle taps that we just brushed off. That led to the Great Pause. But what happened when the world opened back up? For the most part, we just snapped right back to our old ways. And that, according to this idea, brought us to right now, the shaking. A time of just intense disruption, wars, fires, floods. And it begs this really chilling question. If we ignore the shaking, what in the world is this shout going to be like?
So, if these are signals, what on earth are they trying to tell us? Well, the argument here is that these events aren't just random acts of destruction. They actually carry these deep, symbolic messages, kind of like painful lessons that we desperately need to finally learn.
Let's start with the pandemic. From this viewpoint, it wasn't just a health crisis. It was a mirror. The forced isolation wasn't just about stopping a virus. It was meant to show us how incredibly disconnected we've all become. From each other, from nature, and even from ourselves. It reflected all our weaknesses right back at us. And then you have the wars that are breaking out all over the planet. These are seen as these brutal, heartbreaking lessons in compassion. It's almost as if the message is, if you can't learn to come together in peace, then you'll be reminded of your shared humanity through unbelievable pain and suffering. And what about the physical world? We're seeing bridges fail, infrastructure literally crumbling. This is viewed as almost poetic, right? It's a symbol of a society that's obsessed with building faster, bigger, higher, all while completely forgetting to build on a strong, solid foundation. It's like we're forgetting our roots. But here's where it gets really personal. These signals aren't just happening out there in the world. The whole idea is that they're also happening inside each of us, echoing that exact same chaos. This quote right here really nails it. The imbalance and chaos we're seeing on the news, in our climate, and our politics, it's not some separate thing. It's being perfectly mirrored inside our own minds and our bodies. And here are the symptoms. Look at how we treat the planet. We just extract and extract. Well, we do the exact same thing to ourselves. We push, and that pressure creates these internal signals. We're seeing widespread anxiety, skyrocketing rates of depression, a literal epidemic of burnout. That feeling of emptiness, the constant fatigue, the sleepless nights, these aren't just your personal problems. They're seen as echoes of a planet that is under the exact same kind of strain. So, all of this leads us to a massive choice, a real crossroads. We can keep on doing what we've been doing, ignoring all these signals, both the ones outside and the ones inside. Or we can finally choose to stop and actually listen. And let's be clear, this isn't about saving the planet. The Earth has been around for billions of years. It's going to be fine. It will heal and rebalance itself, whether we're around to see it or not. No, this is about saving ourselves. Our very survival depends on us figuring out how to fit back into the system of nature, instead of trying to control it. So, how do we even begin to listen? Well, the proposed path has 4 key steps. First, it's about a return to stillness, slowing down from this insane pace and just breathing. Next, it's about restoring balance, making sure we give back at least as much as we take. Then, we have to redefine what progress even means. We have to understand that real progress is impossible without peace. And finally, and this is a big one, it demands humility. We have to remember that we don't own this planet. We belong to it.
So really, that's the core metaphor here. Every single storm, every wildfire, every global crisis, it's a message. It's like the universe is writing us letters in the most basic language there is, fire, water, and wind. And it's just begging us to finally read them. And that brings us to this final powerful idea. We tend to think of balance as, a lifestyle choice, something that's nice to have if you can get it. But from this perspective, it's not a luxury. It's far more essential than that. It is the absolute core requirement for us to continue to exist. Balance isn't optional. It's survival.